Welcome back to Misunderstood. Okay, today, you guys, we have a good one. It's an exclusive. This guy has not spoken publicly since his hit Bravo show, Shahs of Sunset, was canceled. Today, we hear from Mike Shouhed. He's open, he's honest, he gives us the behind the scenes on the show cancellation, what it was like to be on the show, what happened with his run-in with the law, his love life, what he's doing now. He also discusses if he believes in this reality reckoning, if he's Team Bethany or Team Bravo. It was so interesting to have this hour with Mike, and I'm so excited to bring it to you. So sit back, let me know your thoughts. You are not going to be disappointed. Get ready for Mike Shouhed from Shahs of Sunset. Hi, Mikey. I'm so happy that you're here. It's such an honor and a pleasure. Welcome to Misunderstood.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here with you.
So I really want to know from the beginning, how did Shahs of Sunset come to pass? Like, how did it get approached? How did you get approached, and why did you do it?
So I was living in Las Vegas, and I spent all my 20s in Vegas. So from the time I was about 21, I dropped out of law school, moved to Vegas to pursue a career in real estate. Market was booming, was making great money. Market crashed. And I came back home with my tail between my legs, like thinking, okay, what the hell am I going to do with my life now? You know, like the real estate market's dead. But I had saved up just enough money where I could survive, but I wasn't thriving. And I convinced my middle brother, who was a dentist, to move in with me. And I found us a house in the Hollywood Hills because I wasn't going to move back with my parents, right? So I have a house in the Hollywood Hills. I'm driving home one day, and on the side of the road is this guy, Sammy, Big Sam from season 1 of Shahs of Sunset. Standing on the side of the road, and I've known this guy for years. You know, we partied together, you know, got nuts, girls, all this type of shit. He's a really fun guy. But one thing I knew about Sammy was that he talks a lot. So if you were going to speak with him, it's going to be an hour conversation because he has so much to say all the time. So I saw him and I thought he didn't see me because I zipped by, and he starts yelling my name, Mike, Mike. I'm like, I was going to ignore him. Then he calls me. He's like, come back. I need to talk to you. And I drive back down, and he's like, hey, man, we're filming this new reality show. They don't have a name for it yet, but it's about Persians in LA, and you'd be perfect for it. And I'm like, oh, hell no. I heard about this. So-and-so is going to be on it. I want nothing to do with it. I want to be anonymous. He took it upon himself to give the producers my phone number anyways. So this kid, Jesse, who was the creator of the show, who worked for Ryan Seacrest, kept bugging me, called me about 15 times. And every time I said to him, I don't want to do it. And then finally, Ryan Seacrest reaches out to me and says, hey, Mike, I heard you're a stud and you're good looking. And he's charming me. And I'm like, oh, wow, this is Ryan Seacrest telling me all these things. I just came back from a very fulfilled career where I'd lost everything. And this guy's complimenting me. He kind of like baited me. And I was like, all right, I'll sit down with you. And we sat down and he talked to me about the Kardashians and all this other shit that was happening. And I was like, all right, this is my second wind of life. This is where my opportunity is going to come from.
Your second act.
Yeah. So, okay, let's give it a shot. And before I know it, I'm in some house in Studio City in a backyard with a bunch of people, some who I had known but not really close with, and a lot of strangers, all Iranian. And they just interviewed me, and we created this little sizzle that they wanted to show the producers of the show to see if we're right for this new show that they're going to be producing.
So the people that they picked for the sizzle reel, was that the people that ended up being on the actual show?
Yeah. So it started with there was 20 people there that night. And then from that 20, after we were done, we left. Then they brought us back together, and it was a dwindled down group of people. And then it got dwindled down more. And then we filmed the show. And then once we filmed the show, they give us 6 episodes. From the 6 episodes, they picked who was on the first season of the show.
And what was your relationship like with the people that were the core OGs of Shahs of Sunset?
So Reza he just turned 50 in August. Okay. I am 44. Right. So if people put 2 and 2 together, they realize that we were not in school together. Right. It's impossible. But the Iranian community is small. So we knew of each other. Right. But I was not close with any of these people, except for Gigi. I grew up with her. She was like my little sister. I was best friends with her sister, Layla. And the rest of us, we were acquaintances.
Right.
But when you start filming a show like we did, where the premise is, hey, you guys are really, really close, we kind of got the idea, like, if we don't give the network what they want, the show's not going to work, because they kept embedding that into our brains. Hey, these checks don't come cheap. You guys have to listen to us. We know what we're doing. Just follow what we're telling you, and it's a path, and we're going to lead you to the path for success. So obviously, after spending hours and hours and hours and hours together weekly, as we filmed the show, we got close, right? Right. So it was like high school. You create little cliques, and then within those cliques, there's other cliques, and we became close because it was like, wow, look what we're doing for the culture. We are creating a show about Iranians where once upon a time growing up, I would hide that I was Persian, right? I would tell people, no, I'm Mexican, I'm Italian. If I met a girl, I was like, yeah, I'm Italian. They're like, but your last name is Shouhed. Like, what is? No, it's Shouhed. I'd make up shit just to like pretend to play the role, because being Iranian wasn't cool. And when we started filming, the production crew was so excited. Like, dude, your culture is amazing. The food, the music, the culture. So I was like, wow, it gave me a new perspective on what people thought. So I became proud of the show. So I wanted to create something that the world would find to be interesting and creative, but also full of drama and sexiness and all this other shit, so that we create something that will survive in this world of television, where you have so many different options. I wanted people to watch our show.
Yeah, of course.
We played ball.
So when you guys weren't filming, how often were you actually choosing to spend time with each other? I mean, I've done a couple reality shows in the past, and I found that when I'm on a show, I get so immersed with the people I'm with. After 3 weeks, you feel like they're family. Like, I was spending all my time with them even when we weren't shooting. Is that what happened with you guys?
So yeah, I'm trying to take myself back to season 1, because after 10 years of all the shit I've been through with them, I'm a little jaded. But in the beginning, it was incredible. Like, Reza was like my big bro, him being gay, being Iranian, being Jewish, and half Muslim. So he understood so many facets of life, because he had dealt with so much, that I had this respect for him, because he was out, he was proud, he was successful, he was flamboyant, he dressed well. So like, I became super, super tight with him. And I remember, like, in the beginning, they gave us, it was like a part of a group chat. So all of us were texting each other, and MJ, before she met me, she'd call me like, hey, Mike, with like her little sexy voice, and like flirting with me, and like wanting to, like, like kind of, we were flirting with each other like we were going to hook up. It was weird. And then, me and Gigi, obviously, we had our relationship, and we're friends. And I knew her since she was a little girl. And obviously, me and Sammy, he would make fun of me. He's like, you see, and you didn't want to be a part of the show, and now look, you're going to get so many girls, and you're going to make money. And, he always had his chip on his shoulder about that. And we would joke about that. But we all became very close because, like I said, we were filming for 10, 15, 20 hours sometimes a day, weeks on end, Wednesday through Sunday, every week for months. So you become close to these people because you spend the majority of your time with them. I spent more time with them than I did with my own family.
And
really, like brothers and sisters.
Yeah. And like, during this time, did you decide to keep your day job? Or were you trying to establish who you were as a real person in LA once you were there? Or you kind of let that go and just did the show?
Nah, the first season we made, like, I think like like 3,000 an episode or something, like nothing. So if I was just going to live off that, I'd be like impoverished, So I was still working, selling real estate, hustling, doing what I could. And at the same time, being a rock star by midweek till the weekend, because it was like no sleep, drinking, drama, creating great storylines, based on, I don't want to say it was lies or lives on the show, but no one's life is really that exciting all the time. It's not, I don't know anyone that's always doing something. And they had us going on excursions and hanging out and dinners and staying up all night and then going back to filming early in the morning. So I was trying to balance both lives, but yeah, it was hard. But no, I definitely had to do more in order to survive, especially in LA, living in a house in Hollywood Hills. It's not cheap.
And at the beginning, was it helping your career that all of a sudden the show was taking off and everyone knew your name and knew your face? Was that helpful for real estate?
Yeah, it was actually. It helped with recognition, right? But the way they portrayed me season one was, Mike lost it all and he's the underdog and he's coming back, which I guess was truth. But then like people, they made some of the people on the show look more opulent and like they had more money. And those people, some of them really knew how to play into that. And I was just like, yo, I'm just me. I had it, I lost it, but I'm making it again. But I didn't lose everything. So it's like, I didn't understand it because I didn't watch any reality TV. And my crew of friends that were on the show with me would be like, you don't understand how this reality show thing works. You're not doing it right.
What do you think that meant?
They wanted me to be a student of reality TV. So you have to know how to bring the drama, when to turn it up, when to turn it down. And with me, I'm a Libra. I'm typically very calm. I like to be even keel. I like harmony. I would always get reprimanded when the cameras were off, like, hey man, you're not being dramatic enough.
Right.
Stop the act. I'm like, what act? You don't even know me. Like we became friends, real close friends just recently. You don't know who I am. I'm not a confrontational human being. So then I started to realize, because I kept getting told, if you don't bring the drama, you're not going to make it.
Right.
You're only as good as the camera time you get.
Yeah, well, I mean, I get it. That's true. So in some ways. I have so many questions surrounding that though, like, because in preparation for seeing you, I looked at a lot of clips over the arc of all the seasons and how you were portrayed, by the way, I really noticed that everyone has their moments of anger, a lot of moments of anger and passion. There's a lot of that going on throughout all the seasons with different people, right? And a lot of it has to do with friendships that, people seem really upset that their friendships are being betrayed and that the trust is being betrayed, the boundaries are being betrayed. And for you, what I saw is that a lot of times you were the peacemaker. For, at least the beginning of it, you really struck me as the person that would get involved to try and calm everyone down. So as we get to sort of the end of the show, to have you be the one that got into trouble legally seemed, interesting, shocking. I don't know what the word would be to me, because I didn't see that in you. Do you know what I mean? Like anyone else you would bring up, I'd be like, yeah, I get it. But I didn't know that I saw that in you, even though you were portrayed in a number of different ways. And we'll get to that in a minute. But I guess what I want to talk to you about is, how do you feel like the show portrayed you, and in what ways do you think you fed into that, and in what ways you tried to really give your own narrative? This blew my mind when I found out, but did you know that over 80% of people have subscriptions they've forgotten about? Seriously, think of how many free trials you subscribe to that you've probably never canceled. That's why I'm such a big fan of Rocket Money. So for me, I signed up. It took less than 3 minutes. I put my information in and outspouted all this stuff that I had no idea about. I had no idea that in the course of a year, I actually, and you guys, this is a true story, spent over $6,000 on subscriptions. It gave me a full list. It told me all the things that I was spending it on. And I could tell from there what I wanted to get rid of, what I didn't know existed. And then the cool thing is they help you cancel these subscriptions. Not only that, I could see how much I was spending in different categories: health and wellness, food and beverages. I was surprised to see how much my daughter Wyatt Lily was spending at Starbucks every month. It's a huge amount. So I'm going to be having a conversation with her about that. With Rocket Money, you can easily cancel the subscriptions you don't want with just the press of a button. No more long hold times or annoying emails with customer service. Rocket Money does all the work for you. And I can tell you, I've personally done this myself. It was super easy, and I'm already saving money. Stop wasting money on things you don't use. Cancel your unwanted subscriptions and manage your money the easy way by going to rocketmoney.com/understood. That's rocketmoney.com/understood. rocketmoney.com/understood.
So in the beginning, they allowed me to, because they're trying to feel us out, right? And they invested in us. So they knew that they could, in ways, manipulate us to do what they want. Because once the money started to get good and you wanted that money to keep rolling in, all of a sudden, the producer who was smiling and pulling you aside and talking to you, their words became more like Bible, like, man, I got to listen to this person. Oh, this person has a pedigree where they did X, Y, and Z show, and they took those shows into huge franchises. That person obviously wants the best for our show. I should listen to them.
Yeah.
Right. And then I started to lose sight of who I really was because I was listening to them. The cast of the show started to self-produce and create more drama. So I started to see them for who they really were. And then it just started to create animosity between me and them. In the beginning, I really wanted everyone to be peaceful and have fun. And I was like, what are you guys doing? This is crazy. And I didn't want our show to be like that. Like I told you, I wanted to represent our culture. And after season 1, everyone would be like, yo, man, you're my favorite on the show. You're the only one that I watch that actually is normal. And I was like, no, man, the rest of them are normal. They're just, they just act up for the show because I wanted to protect them. Right. And they really weren't as crazy as they were coming across on the show. But as time progresses and these people who you become close with, like family, start to betray you and attack your character and do things behind your back to create drama, you start to get bitter with them. And then you're forced to still hang out with them and grieve your differences in front of a camera.
Yeah.
Because if you don't tell your story, they will. And these group of nerd editors that sit in an editing bay for hours and hours and hours and hours and hours a day, like watching you, they're getting notes from the network saying, hey, no, do that scene again, but I want them to look this way. I want Mike to look this way. I want Gigi to look this way. So like Gigi in the beginning looked like a knife wielding insane person. Right. And then towards the end, they're like, okay, that's not working anymore. We need to change her up a bit. So she became the Wusa calm mother. Right.
I'm just curious though, who was she in reality to you?
She had those tendencies, obviously, but it wasn't like she was always like pulling knives on people. She also had to, if you knew Gigi, she was a very sweet, loving, kind person who was very soft on the inside, like a coconut, soft on the inside, just had a hard outer shell because she just didn't want to get hurt. But they exploit whatever they want about you. And then God bless our fans, they would take whatever they saw as reality. And they didn't think like, yeah, maybe he's not that way. And here's the funniest part. I'll meet people, gym, on the street, wherever. 9 out of 10 times, people will be like, man, I really thought you were an asshole. And then I got to talk to you and you're standing here and you spent 15 minutes talking to me. And I've expressed all these things that are going on in my life. And you've given me insight. You've given me an ear. You're really a nice guy. Like, yeah, I don't know why you got the idea that I'm an asshole, but I get that all the time. And then I realized, damn, this project that I was part of really did a great job of making me look like something I wasn't.
Right. So I want to talk to you about that concept because, a lot of people say, reality TV makes you look like someone you aren't. And they can, edit you to look a certain way, even though you behave a different way. Do you agree with that?
Okay. So I want to be fair. I don't want to be a victim in all of this. Do I have anger in me? Of course I do. Right. It takes a lot for it to come out. Mm-hmm. I don't walk around angry. I walk around smiling. I walk around happy. I'm very optimistic. But, there's times where I get upset, and when people spend that much time with you, they know exactly what buttons to push to trigger you, mm-hmm. And it wasn't necessarily things they did to me. Like one season, Reza went after MJ, mm-hmm. and, I took their beef and made it my beef because I didn't like the way Reza was handling that situation. Mm-hmm. No money in the world should make you say certain things about people. It'll never go away. And I even posted about that today. Be careful what you tell people because it'll play in their minds forever. Yeah. And it just might have been a moment of anger in your life where you said something that you didn't mean, but that person will carry that with them for the rest of their life. So I try to come from a place of love and kindness, but there was times that I blew up on the show and they exploited that shit. And, Mike has anger problems and Mike said this and that. So yes, they do a good job of making you look like something you're not because they take something very small and they blow it up and continue to play it and then continue to revert back to it. And, it just keeps playing over and over again throughout the entire season because that one clip, if it got a lot of clicks or a lot of viewers, they're like, okay, that's the one. We got to go play it back. And throughout the season, they keep editing. So the show is not formatted and then it comes out. It's formatted and then they make tweaks.
Right. And that's important for people to realize. There is a narrative that is created. So you may have some anger in you, which, by the way, a lot of people do. They're passionate, right, about certain things.
And we're passionate people.
Yeah. Yeah. In certain situations. But they may leave out the part where you're rescuing dogs on the street and you're helping old women cross the road or whatever it is. They may just create this narrative that fits for your character. Also, you had some issues with being loyal with the women you were with, right? So of course they, that is your issue, right? That you're dealing with. But I think that in a reality show, they put the spotlight on stuff like that. And if it's something that's a pattern, you really get stuck with those stigmas because those are the things that it stands out with people as opposed to the arc of someone. And, as a person, when you meet someone in real life and you get to know them, you see the entire gamut of who that person is. You see everything, but just in a reality show, you just see little snippets and that's what creates a narrative. And I think that can be what's really dangerous because then people think they know you based on the smoke and mirrors of what is a narrow vision of reality TV. Do you agree with that?
Absolutely. I couldn't have said it better, and I did have infidelity issues. I went through 2 real relationships on the show. My ex-wife, who we cared about each other. We loved each other, but we weren't in love with each other. And we got married, even though we knew we shouldn't. Mm-hmm. And we try to make it work because to keep face for people. And when you're not in a happy relationship, people do things. She did things that I didn't air out because I tried to protect her. Now looking back, I should have brought it up. I didn't. But she did a great job of showing the world, where she ended up and what she ended up doing. And, my laundry was aired out on the show. Hers wasn't. She's an amazing person. We're friends to this day. And thank God, both of our paths ended up in a happy place. She's happy. She's moved on and she's doing her thing. And then with Paulina, that was just, again, so stupid. I feel horrible about it. A lapse in judgment where for one day in the middle of COVID, having text conversations with someone who I'd never met, who I met on Instagram, who started off by like, hey, your story really resonated with me. I'm going through a divorce. Can I please ask your opinion? And she was a pretty girl. And I was like, okay. And then it went from that to baiting me and talking about stuff. And then by the end of the day, just 12 hours of talking, throughout those 12 hours, I was like, whoa, what am I doing? I'm going to get myself in trouble. And I did. It was just stupid. And it got blown out of proportion. And, hindsight is 2020. Right?
Yeah.
When you're in the fame and you have these beautiful women who want your attention and you're trying to be good, the devil in me got the best of me and I fucked up. And I feel guilty about it to this day. And I realized that I hurt Paulina, I hurt myself, I hurt our families. I wish I can go back in time and fix it. But I realized that, and I'll tell you the truth and be very transparent with you, I did not like myself while I was on the show. I became a human being that resented the show, resented the cast. I resented myself. I hated Ryan Seacrest. I hated Bravo. It was just, when they were like, we're coming back for another season, it was like, oh man, I had anxiety because I was like, fuck, I have to film with these people again for another 3-4 months. What are they going to bring up? How are they going to try to destroy my life this season? How am I going to have to retaliate? And then, okay, I got to get a new car. Okay, I got to get a new place. I got to get new clothes. It was this thing that I truly did not like anymore. And if you look at me now, like I weigh 190 pounds, I'm fit, I'm more ripped than I've ever been. Mentally, I'm more strong than I've ever been. I read, I journal, I pray. I go to temple. I'm happy. I love myself. And when I was filming, I was fat, miserable. I ate like shit. I didn't work out. I didn't take care of myself. I was just miserable. Mm-hmm. I would, Paulina would tell me when you were sleeping, I would twitch because I was so nervous because my anxiety was through the roof because I got to a point where this project that I really loved and was so fun became a nuisance in my life. So for the past several seasons, it's been like that.
Right.
When the show ended, and I'm sorry to cut to it, but like when the show ended, I was so happy. I was laughing with the producers on the phone. I was like, thank God. They're like, Mike, did you hear what we just told you? Like, the show has been canceled. I was like, yes, thank you. They go, and the producers are, well, one producer, she's like, wow, you're taking this a lot better than the rest of them did. Some of them actually cried. Like, I get it. This was a life. It wasn't my life. This was just a project. And I was checked out years ago.
Right. So I want to talk about that for a second, because there are a lot of rumors that Shahs of Sunset ended because of what happened with you outside of the show with Paulina and you getting arrested. Do you want to talk on that subject? Sure,
absolutely. I wish I was more. I wish I was more prepared because I would have pulled up the email and shown you. When they called, actually they emailed us, and here's what was happening. So they were casting new people for the show prior to season 10, and we thought season 10 was going to be our last season. We were all, talking about it and what are we going to do? It's got to be the biggest season, and like we're all plotting and planning and all that shit. And they would keep giving us updates. Okay, we're doing a casting call, and be prepared for this day. And they would send us emails telling us to prepare for whatever the new season. And all the ducks have to be in a row for this season to go off without a hitch. We have to, if you're renting, you have to get your landlord to say it's okay to film there. They want to get locations. They want to get releases from all of our family members and all that stuff. So we were preparing for this next season. And then there was a huge lull where they didn't reach out to us for like a few months. And I remember Reza was very anxious because he's like, man, I don't think we're coming back. They're just going to drop us like that. This is crazy. And lo and behold, one day we get the call, hey, we need to do a Zoom call with the entire cast. I'm like, all right, cool. This is it. Like, okay, fuck, we're coming back for another season. And in the email that they sent out, there was 4 names. Actually, let me see. Hold on. It was Reza, MJ, Gigi on one call. Okay, one Zoom call. And then Mike, Nima, Destiny, Shervin on another call. Okay? So basically what they did was they were going to give MJ, Gigi, and Reza a spinoff. Kind of like Three's Company vibe, where he's the godfather of their 2 children, and they were going to do a spinoff. And the rest of us were getting clipped from the show. Okay? Which was my thought, because I was like, why would they split it up? This is not normal. So I had a feeling, and they called, and that was it. They're like, hey, Mike, we're sorry to break the news to you guys, but the show's ending. It's just getting way too expensive to film. You guys, the show is unionized, and Ryan has to get his cut, and you guys are demanding too much money, and it just doesn't make sense for us.
And sorry, at that point, how were the ratings? I mean, was it still doing well, or was it really falling off?
Yeah, ratings were great, but
okay.
Understand, cable television is a dinosaur now, right? Mm-hmm. You have Netflix and Hulu and all these other streaming networks where you could watch anything you want at any given time. And then finally, these morons at Bravo were like, oh shit, Netflix is at 100 million, a billion, whatever they're at. Maybe we should do something like that. And then they finally rolled out Peacock. But then, dude, you're late to the party, dude. Like, it's already happened. People already have their subscriptions, and now you guys want to do Peacock? Mm-hmm. So they just missed the boat, and they realized. And if you watch these new shows that Bravo's come out with, the formula that we created as a group of Iranians and with Ryan and his production team, they just rinsed and repeated what we did with like that Karma show, right? Mm-hmm. And other shows that they created. Some flop, some don't. And it's cheap for them because it goes back to paying their talent $3,000 an episode instead of $50,000 an episode.
Right.
And rather take a chance on a $3,000 show. And if it flops, whatever. And if it does great. We have that for a few seasons until they get too big. Then we'll clip them and then we'll do the next show. And that's why you're seeing like shows like $1 Million Listing New York that is really not expensive to make because they're filming at people's properties. They're not really doing anything. They're just following them around. But the shows get clipped because these guys are like, well, you guys are making money off the show. We want more money. And it just doesn't make sense for them financially. So they clip the show. And that's what happened with us. Okay.
So you 4 got the call saying it was over. What was the call for the other 3?
That they were going to get a spinoff, like I told you.
Yeah.
And then they started filming. And
well, they did. They got that far with filming.
They filmed a sizzle or did some stuff. And I was so happy for them. And they called me like, I'm sorry, Mike. Like, we wanted you to be a part of this. No. I remember MJ called me and she was so upset. Mm-hmm. And Reza too, actually. He was like, dude, I really tried. I was like, no, man, I don't want to do it. I'm good. I want to get back to my normal life.
And where was your relationship with the cast, the 7 of you, I guess, so the other 6, at this point? Like, how were you feeling about all of them, and how were your friendships?
I will always love them, right? Because they were like my brothers and my sisters, and I truly, truly, truly care about them. Mm-hmm. But it got to a point where we didn't like each other. We were fighting over dumb shit because I could not say, well, I guess we're just filming a show. I'll just forgive and forget you, No, you said some really disgusting stuff about my mom, my dad, my brothers, my fiance at the time. You threatened me. Like, I can't just forgive that. I don't care if there was a camera on. At your core, it allowed you to say those things to me. Mm-hmm. I said horrible things back to you. Yeah. And I don't want you to forgive me because we're not friends, obviously, if you would do that to me.
Right. And that stuff became real, it seems. Like the words, the anger. And what was interesting to me is that it almost seemed like they resented, or Gigi or whoever resented, when a new woman would come in your life. When Paulina came into your life, it was almost like you had to choose between them and her. And that seemed to cause a big rift. And who do you, when you're in the middle like that, that's so hard.
They honestly hated Jessica when I was dating her. Mm-hmm. And that poor girl put up with so much.
Mm-hmm.
I would get spoof text messages. They would spoof text message her like, hey, I was with your man last night and, you know, blah, blah, blah. I'm dating your man. And she's like, you know, and I'm like, but I was with you, babe, last night. Like we were having dinner together. And she's like, I know, but who are these people? Just, I don't know if it was her or the world, because, you know, as a real estate agent, my number's out in the world, right? Mm. And it's, and you know, there's 2 degrees of separation. Like, hey, do you know Mike? Do you have his phone number? Can I get it? You know, or do you know Jessica? Can I get her phone number? And it just started to cause these issues in our lives. And I remember poor Jessica, I think this was like season 3. She's like, I'm not doing this anymore.
Yeah.
I love you. I care about you. This show is going to destroy you and it's going to destroy our relationship. You choose. Do you want to do the show or do you want to be with me? Mm. And selfishly at the time, I'm like, don't make me choose, because this is my career. Like, yeah. You know, this is making me money. This is bringing me appearances. This is helping with my real estate.
Yeah. And at that point, it's part of your identity. I mean, it's how people associate who you are, like it or not. I mean,
I became Mike from Shahs of Sunset. Instead of Mike from Shahs, Mike being Mike on television, mm-hmm. The guy who, this image that was created, this heartthrob sex symbol, like they're trying to create, I carried myself that way throughout life after the show was over, because I was like, man, if I slip, then they're going to think I'm a fraud. So I have to live up to that. Right. Yeah. And I tried that, and it's exhausting pretending to be something you're not.
Yeah.
You know, all the time, to be on, you know, and God forbid if I was out and I didn't take a picture with somebody. Yeah. Oh, Mike's an asshole. So it didn't matter where I was or who I was with. And imagine at the time I'm dating this young girl. She's 11 years younger than me. Mm-hmm. And she's like, I just want to hang out with my man. And we're sitting having dinner. And in the middle of my dinner, I'm, you know, just eating my food. And someone comes up and is like, can I take a picture with you? And I'm